Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today I have Ben Easter with me, the lucid shift coaching expert. Hi, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great. So I love your energy. How's it going, man?
I just try and bring as much energy as possible because the more energy I bring, the better the episode is and everybody enjoys it. And I'm not one of those stoic people. I never was stoic. I have too much energy to give out. Ben, go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, man. I was just gonna say, me too. I appreciate the energy. It's one of the things I bring. It's great.
Excellent, Ben. I have your small little bio here that I'm going to be putting in the show notes, but introduce yourself to my audience. Let them know a bit about you and Lucid Shift Coaching.
Yeah, so I'm a coach, transformational business mindset coach is how we kind of play. We help entrepreneurs to overcome, there's like 5 big ones, but it's all mindset stuff really that's happening where people understand that they are the biggest thing standing in their way of success. And so we help them to kind of overcome those things. They're not, it's not magic, but it is pretty useful once it happens.
It is magic. I'm telling you right now, what you do is magic, sir.
It works like magic. I always say it's not magic, but it's kind of like magic.
It's the cousin of magic, if you will. It's not exactly a full magic, but it does seem like magic. Ben, how did you get started? Like, what was the catalyst? What was that raison d'être that you were like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur? Like, what is it, that catalyst to change you?
Yeah, honestly, man, I'm one of those ones who always had the itch in me from, back in the beginning. I was in high school selling weed back before it was cool. I really thought that it was just like, I was really like fascinated with the numbers and, thinking about how to be in that one. It's really a lot about mitigating risk and understanding how to market and like be careful, but also like protect your capital and all that stuff. I was really interested in it. And I went to college. Ultimately, it wound up not being the business for me.
Understandable. The risk starts getting worse and worse. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just didn't want to live and die by my intuition like that. So I became a coach. Now I live and die by my intuition. But anyway, the idea is that my thing is that I think we have there's no like right path for anyone or like some perfect comes down from the heavens thing. Very few people actually have that experience. What most people experience is like a trail of breadcrumbs. And so there's real power in just getting started. And that's what happened with me. I started one business and I pulled some things that I really liked from that. I started another business. This is my 7th business.
Damn.
And all of them have been financially successful, but not all of them have been successful in terms of like satisfaction, meaning, fulfillment, and all that stuff. And I think that that comes in hindsight, not in foresight. And I think that's one of the biggest things that it's useful for people to hear starting out is I don't have to get it right. I don't have to know who my perfect audience is, or I don't have to know who what my perfect offering is to the world. It's try some shit, see what happens. Oh, sorry. Am I?
Yeah, you're fine. It's only the hard C. The hard C is the only one, and it's only British and Australians that seem to have a problem with it, but we're good.
I try not to shout that one out too often. But yeah, so that's the idea is get started, try some stuff and, see what happens and then keep checking in, see how you like it and see how it's working in the world and see what people are saying and, figure it out.
I love it. No, I think it's probably the biggest and best thing. It's just try. I think because when we were younger, we look at our parents and oh my God, they're 30. They're already there. They're so successful. But in reality, you're so young, at 30, no one is successful at 30. It's so rare that you'll find someone who's hit the level of success when you're growing up, because most of us don't come from the wealthy families that already have that success built in. So our parents are growing up. I read somewhere we see our parents grow up into adulthood when we already think they're in adulthood because we're children. So I like how you said there's breadcrumbs for people to find their perfect offering. It's kind of like the same thing in life.
Yeah. And for, to elaborate further on the actual question that you asked me, which is what was my reason for being, I went through this journey and I had when I was 19, I had a head injury, damaged my left temporal region of my brain and gave myself brain damage. So I really I lost my social skills. I had trouble processing language. I really had a pretty hard go of it for a few years. I was like really depressed. I couldn't connect with other people. It was weird because, my other processing wasn't affected. The way that the brain works is like it
Yeah.
was segmented. Like I could do math and I could, business still was booming and I could do all these other things, but I just couldn't connect with people socially. And so I actually had to go on a journey to develop those skills again. And that took me like, I don't know, a better part of a decade to get to a point where I was at least as good as my pre head injury functioning levels.
I can tell you, I didn't even know. I couldn't tell. You said
Yeah.
it, I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
No.
Well, what's
Jesus.
crazy, dude, I mean, neuroplasticity, thank God for that because it really like it helped me to become, I'm better now than I ever was before because I was like, oh, well, this is a discipline, a skill that I can practice. And so then I started practicing it. So I did it in like an intentional way, in a way that you don't do when you're growing up. You just
No,
like picking up
it's
whatever
just
social skills you have.
it's happened. It's like
Yeah.
okay, it's part of life. I know how to do it. I don't have to learn it. It's part of me.
Yeah, exactly. And so my sixth business was my first coaching business. And that was in the dating and relationship space because the big thing that was motivating me through all of that was I was so lonely. I was going to kill myself and I just wanted a girlfriend and all, all this stuff. So anyway, I had picked up all these things and I was like, oh, well, I could probably help other people. I was talking to one of my friends. He was a coach and he was like having some trouble with his relationship. And I was like asking him questions, helping him think through it. And he just like had this moment where he was like, have you ever thought about being a coach? And I was like, I am now. So, and that was like my first coaching business. Didn't love it. Again, followed the breadcrumbs. Like it was great doing the work, but I didn't love the dating and relationship space. I'm not that interested in it, not that motivated by it. So,
Well, once you get yours, you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't need anything else. Like I found what I needed. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
well, and it's fascinating
Oh,
to
it
do
is.
like
It is.
social skills and all the social dynamics. I had just been in it for so long
Yeah.
that I was like burned out on it. I was much more interested in like the personal development side of things. And like, because to me, I think like real social skills are based in like a true understanding of yourself and like mastery of yourself
Mhm.
as a person. And that I find fascinating. It's a journey that, you know,
I fully agree with you. Like I studied it when I was in because I wanted to be better with getting with girls, so I had to study it,
mhm,
right? Like with
mhm,
anything. And I remember reading something that there's like the three pillars of a man's life or three pillars of a person's life. It's your wealth, your health, and your relationship. And if you focus too much on one, the other two fall down. And right now, looking at you, you focused on one, then you went to another one, and you're on the third one now. You're like doing all three pillars of that
yeah.
like mainstay for humanity. So it's like really amazing seeing.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. Those are also great pillars in marketing for anybody out there starting businesses. If you're talking to one of those three areas, of which there are thousands of offshoots, but
Yeah,
those are the ones that people are interested in.
yeah, it's true. Oh my god. Well, I'll be right back. I have to go make another podcast. um, but Ben, how has it been like being in this loose? What happened?
Am I here?
I'm still here. Are you still here?
I'm still here.
Okay. It was just my screen. Okay.
Okay,
Phew.
great.
Thank God we're still recording. Everything's live. I don't really mind. That's part of podcasting. It must have been something here.
So it goes.
Uh, I lost my question, but it's going to come back. What made you go into the lucid area? Like, what came up with? How did you come up with the name for your
Yeah.
business?
So lucid shift coaching is because, I mean, I have this metaphor that I explain to clients that we're in a reality. Like we all think that like, oh, it's a water bottle or it's a lamp or like we're like pointing at all these things, but that's not actually what I mean, we don't have access to reality. What we have is chaos around us, moving parts, molecules, atoms spinning and whirling through eternity, and our brain being what it is kind of organizes it and kind of simplifies it and makes some mistakes, but ultimately like it makes sense of the chaos and it's doing the best job that it can. And we all these mistakes, we come by them honestly. But ultimately, the analogy that I have is like, it's like we're walking through some really dark attic, like those old manor houses in like the detective stories where
Yeah.
there's the attic that's piled full of stuff and you can walk around in it. So it's like a
Everybody
dark
dreams
attic.
of having a house like that, but don't want to deal with the mess that's in the attic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's ghosts up there and stuff. Yeah, so it's like we're walking around one of those big dark attics, and all we've got is a flashlight, and we can point the flashlight in any direction that we want to, right? But we can only point the flashlight in one direction at a time. because that's and that flashlight is a metaphor for our attention, our awareness,
Yeah.
right? So we're taking in all the sense data and we can look at any part of it, but we can't look at multiple parts at once. We can only look at one part. And so what happens is a lot of us by habit or through circumstance, we're thinking about the world in certain ways and it's unresourceful for us. Like I can't do those things. It limits our possibilities. Like there's, that's just the way it is. Things are hard, whatever. And that's just pointing our flashlight in a direction, all that
Mhm.
stuff. It's neither true nor false. I mean, it's out there in reality, but also so too is like it's easy and things are
If we
flowing
just look over
effortlessly.
here, it's effortless. Yes, I
Yeah, yeah. And so
God.
lucid is light or clarity. And so that's like the flashlight. And so what we do in our coaching business is we help people to shift what they're looking at, not not to lie about reality or like to make some up or like, just believe some fantasy, but it's like, no, let's just think more resourceful thoughts. There are certain thoughts that help us to take more action than others. So let's just like point our flashlight in the direction that helps us. And so we change our light and we change our lives. Lucid shift.
I love it. Oh my God. And it's funny because I'm reading more and more on like your mindset, creating the identity that you want, the habits. Like I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, or listening
Oh,
to Atomic Habits right
love that
now.
book.
Amazing book. I'm also like I'm rereading Think and Grow Rich, which is still a mindset book, and Travis Chappell, an amazing podcaster who talks about building your network. His one of his things is that you have to have that mindset that you are connected already to these amazing individuals, and you'll find a way because that's your identity to be. So like shifting your looking, like when you're saying you're not lying to anybody, you're not. It's just changing the words you use, like saying instead of having a problem, go, I'm going to find the solution. Like, what's the solution to
Exactly.
this situation? Instead of saying, "Oh, this is a problem," no, what's the solution to this? The solution is this. Okay, how can we get there? Easiest, fastest way to get there. So I love the flashlight analogy as well. That's
Yeah.
oh my god,
Well,
I
what
knew
you're
this was
talking
coming.
about, what you're talking about is actually really interesting, and it's useful for anyone starting a business to hear what you just said in kind of a different way as well. Which is a lot of questions that entrepreneurs ask, especially when they're starting out. They're not resourceful questions, so they're like they might ask something like, "Why isn't this working?" Or am I going to be able to make this work or
Yeah.
whatever. Those questions, they're not resourceful questions because what your brain's basically like Google. It's like a search engine, and it's going to whatever you type into the search engine, that's where it's going to look for in the world, in the reality, right? And because there's
Mhm.
so much stuff going on, you can find pretty much whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like if I say are you an insecure person, your brain's going to go into all the places where you're insecure and it's going to be like, yeah, I'm insecure. But if I say are you
Dude,
a conf
90% of your life is nine. But then you look at the other side and it's like you're jumping out of planes, you're doing all these crazy things.
Yeah, because if I say, "Are you a confident person?" then your brain's going to go query for all the places where you are confident. And you're going to be like, yeah, I mean, I have confidence in there, right? And so that's the trick of this like lucid shift thing, right? Is we want to ask more resourceful questions. So rather than like, "Why isn't this working?" which is not a useful question because the only answer that's going to come back from "Why isn't this working?" is going to be all the reasons that it's not working, right?
Mhm.
And you're going to start manufacturing reasons why it's not working,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
But a
yeah.
more resourceful question is, how could this work better? What could happen that this would work better, or what would this look like if it were already working really, really well, right? And spending time in that starts to open you up and prime your brain. Your subconscious mind is going to start pulling out, just like Google, all of the ways in which and the opportunities in which things can be better, or you can, whatever your resourceful question is. But that's what we want to play.
I'm done. The episode's finished, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing more I can teach you. Ben, that is so true. And I love how it's again changing the way you're thinking. It's simple as that. When you're having a negative thought, and what's great is it's something that I taught my brother who lives with paranoid schizophrenia. So he gets a lot of paranoid thoughts. And he's
Mm,
like, is mom and dad trying to kill me? Or are you trying to kill me? Or this? I'm like, stop thinking about if they're trying to, and think, why would they? And there's no reason they would, because there's like 15 years you've been living with this. Like, I'm pretty sure they would have taken care of you in the first 2 years if they realized how much, like, but it's again, it's a unfortunate disease that he lives with, but it's still a thing. Like you'd saying, like changing the resourceful questions. I was doing it for him, but I wasn't doing it for me, or other
mm.
entrepreneurs may have not been doing it. Like for certain things I did because it was like, oh, that's ingrained. It's a habit for me to ask those. But in other parts like business, it's not. So it's like just learning that habit of changing it over. So I love that. Resourceful questions with Ben Easter. If you ever do a podcast, I think that should be the name of it.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I want to go over a pain point that you've had in your journey. So it doesn't have to be necessarily in this particular iteration of your entrepreneurial journey, but overall, you've probably hit multiple pain points. You probably hit a lot of places that you're like, okay, what's the solution to this issue? What's one that maybe entrepreneurs, when they first kind of start, could use as a helpful like guiding post? Maybe not the answer to the pain point, but maybe point them in the right direction to solve it.
hmm I think um, I think the overarching theme is probably that like wanting to get it right. That thing that I was talking about earlier, where it's like I want this business to be perfect, and I want it's for everybody. Everybody could like I remember my acupuncture practice. I was like, well, everybody needs acupuncture, and it's like, well, maybe that's true, but would I want to treat everyone? The extreme example that I always use with clients is like Hitler. If Hitler came, would you want Hitler to have less back pain? And it's like, I mean, maybe there's an acupuncturist for Hitler, but I'm not the one, right? So why not? And so I guess the idea is this like trying to be the one for everyone and to get it perfect for everyone. That is just like it was really not useful, and I was really blocked on it for a long time for marketing, and especially like all of the marketing advice out there is like get your avatar down and like be
Yeah.
very specific, like understand who you're marketing to, and it's like, well, take your best stab at it. Like, who do you think that you'd most like to work with? And then talk to those people and then try it out. Because chances are you actually probably won't like them that much at in the beginning. And you're going to learn some stuff about actually who you really do want to work with. You're going to like, make some tweaks and hone some things. So I just think this like trying to get it right thing up front is the stumbling block that I know I faced in many of my businesses. And then just see again and again, like how do I, who is the person, what's the perfect marketing message? And it's like, just try some shit, throw it against the wall and see what happens.
I love it.
So that's one. And then the other is like, sorry, I'm going to do two. There's two.
Hey, this is your show. I just started, I ended, I asked some questions. The rest is up to you. So you go as many
Great.
time as you want.
Great. The other one is value, is understanding your value proposition and getting really sold yourself. Because I think that's one of the big things. It's like the silent killer of businesses is like people are like, oh, like this should be really valuable to the world, or like hypothetically it's valuable. But I mean, get yourself sold, like rock solid, like believe without a doubt that what you have can help people with whatever it is that they want help with. And if you aren't there yet, that's okay, but like keep going until you get there. Like like ask yourself, how could I get more and more sold on this? Like what are where are the areas where when I look honestly, I still don't believe I can help people, or I still don't believe I can help certain situations that I'm saying that I could. Like get yourself sold first and foremost, because all sale, I mean, business is sales. Like you gotta
Mhm.
make sales. If you don't make sales, you're not in business, really. It won't it won't be sustainable. So, and that's going to be much easier if you get yourself sold on whatever the product is, or whatever your product or service is. Being fully 100%, like there's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that this will work and this will help people, is like it makes everything a lot easier.
There we go. That's genius advice. Figuring out pretty much it's the figuring out the one issue that you can solve for someone before you start solving for 55 other people. Find that one individual that you can solve a problem for. I love it. Great
That
advice.
you're completely sold on, that you believe
Yeah.
without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Fully. Oh my God. Yes. Now we're coming up to my favorite. I think that's all. See, that's a pain point, but also a tip. So I'm going to say that you've answered my second question or my third question in the form of the second question. So we're going to jump off to something that I love. This is a question I ask because it's selfish of me to ask it, but because I love reading, and you have a whole bunch of books behind you. If you're watching the video version, you can see it, but if you're listening, Ben does have a few shelves filled with books. I want to know one book or multiple books that you would suggest an entrepreneur read either at the beginning, middle, near the end of their journey, whatever part of their journey that you
Hmm.
want, that you think would be great for them?
Interesting. I actually didn't think about the different phases of the journey, but because one of my favorite one of my favorite ones I is a little bit further down the road, I think, for people, but it's this Who Not How. I actually have it not even on the bookshelf. It's like I
Right
because I
next to you. I
reference it
love
with
it.
clients so frequently that I just like keep it next to me. But this one's by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, and it's all about understanding the value of what you do and only doing that, like staying in your lane, like figuring out what are the things that you love to do. Because where a lot of entrepreneurs wind up wasting a lot of time and actually getting burned out. So that's one of the like the five things that I help people with is like the burnout or the overwhelm. And one of the main causes for that is trying to do all the things. And even as they bring on like other people into their business, they're like trying to micromanage those people. And so now instead of like having things off their plate, they just put a different thing on their plate instead. And so the idea behind this Who Not How is figure out what are the outcomes, the tangible deliverables that you need for your business, the things that could be proven in a court of law whether or not they were done, not like good work, but like what are the actual things that you need in your business. Identify those things. Kind of you build like a case. Dan Sullivan's got this model called an impact filter where you kind of build a case for yourself and why you want the thing, and then ultimately you find somebody who can do that. And it doesn't matter how they do it. Like I was just talking to a client about this yesterday. She's like, well, they've got to be doing this, 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 and this. And I was like, well, what's the end result? She's like this. And I was like, okay, if she got that, but she didn't do any of that stuff, how would it be okay for your business? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be okay. I think it should be this. And I was like, okay, but wait, if they do this, 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 and this, but they don't get that end result, have they done what you need them to do in the business? She's like, no, that would be horrible. I'm like, okay, great. So you don't know how they do it. You just want them to be able to do this thing, right? To get this thing done. And don't worry about the how. Don't concern yourself with the how because the person who's the right person for that job, they're
Knows exactly what they need to do.
yeah, they're already going to be they're going to be better than you at the how because you've been stumbling along, spending all your time doing this thing. And they probably have like quick and easy systems because it's just what they love to do and they've already figured it out. So
Just, oh my God.
think who, not how. And it's a great book. It goes into many different ways of that, but I love this book. That's a great one. And then honestly, I got to recommend the mindset one because I think
Being a mindset guy, yeah, it would make sense.
yeah, but like I think money mindset is a big one for people. I like Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. You're reading
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, which is like early stage. A lot of
Yeah.
what T. Harv Eker is like the evolution of that. So
Yeah.
I really love T. Harv Eker because he also does a lot with like mantras and like a physical
Ooh.
body kind of implementation of affirmations or mantras. So I really like that because he helps think about money in a different way. Because a lot of entrepreneurs a lot of good entrepreneurs, I should say, good people consider themselves really good people. They have like some hangups about money and the way that money
Oh yeah.
works in the world, and those will always subtly and subconsciously get in our way when we're trying to sell something because there's like a story that there's something wrong with selling or there's something
Yeah.
bad about money.
Because we have all these for me, I can speak specifically for selling my service. I offer podcast production and help people build podcasts so that they can market for pretty much free their services and that. And I always get hung up because I know how technically easy it is to do a podcast. It's a lot of work, but because I've been doing it for 6 years, I have, like you said, I'm that person who gets the end result that you want, don't care about how I do it, and like
Yeah.
it's super easy for me. And I pretty much teach the my clients and that how to do it as easy as possible as well, so that if I get removed, they can still do it without me. Will it be the same level? I don't know, but they have that ability if I'm not there or they don't want to pay me anymore. And I always get hung up because I always think like when I'm selling, like I feel like used car salesman, the dirty, like sleazy, like, oh, you just want my money because you can't prove it. And I'm like, no, but I can prove my stuff. I have evidence here, but it's kind of like, oh, I feel icky sometimes. And it's like, should I be
Mhm.
charging this amount because, it's because I find it so easy in that. So,
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you're describing exactly the thing about who, not how. One of the things is like when you're really good at this is one of the early stage things to kind of overcome too is like when you're really good at something, it is easy for you. And so you're like,
mhm.
well, how can I sell that? It's easy for me to do because there's this story in our like world, in the narrative that people
Yeah.
tell, the collective narrative, that is the value of work is in how hard it is. So the harder we work, the more value it should be, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like you listen to Gary Vee and he's like, you wake up at 5 a.m., you go to bed at 11 p.m. and you work the whole time. You got to hustle and grind. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, Gary wants to buy the New York Jets or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like, I
He has
don't want to
like,
do
I want to buy the Montreal Canadiens. That's a very far pipe dream. Am I going to put in like 30 hours a day to
that.
get
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
No, if I was maybe like 18, yeah. If I was younger and still had the time, like I know, like Gary says, I have the time. You got all that. I believe I have the time. I don't have the time to put in 30 hours a day. No, I enjoy my
Yeah.
like, 3 days a week, hardcore work, and then like the rest of the week I have off. I can do what I want. That's the life I want. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, and know what you're in the game for, right? Because
Yeah,
like a lot of entrepreneurs are actually in for freedom, and if what you want is freedom, then like once you get to like it's like what's your sustainable business model? Where is it that you have the garden that you just grow the garden and then like you eat the food and you live your life? Not
yeah,
like you grow the garden so that you can harvest the seeds so that you can grow more gardens so that you can pretty much become just a farmer for the rest of your life. And it's like, well, that's great if that's what you want to do and if that's the
yeah.
game you want to play, but most of us just want to have a life where we get to do the things that are most important to us and live, and it's not
I
about
just
like
want to spend more
endless
time with
multiple
my
growth.
my nephew. That's it. Like I want like that freedom that my sister can call me up and go, Phil, can you take care of the care of this brat? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. Like I don't have to worry. I'm like, okay, cool. I got him. I can go out and like meet better chicks now because I have this little man with me cruising with me. Already he's a
Exactly.
smooth operator and he's only 3. My God.
Wingman.
Yeah, he's the ultimate wingman. Ben, I'm gonna jump off screen here. We're coming up to the end, and this is the part I hate the most because I'm having so much fun talking with you. Obviously,
Rock on.
even if you haven't listened and not at least cracked a smile through this, then you have no heart, or you're just a very sad individual. Whichever way, Ben, I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna give you the whole screen. You can take up to 5 minutes, however long you want. Let my audience know where they can find you, connect with you, and just like join you if they want to change their mindset.
Sure, great. So thanks for joining us on the ride today. We talked a lot about mindset and other things about business. If you want to have more conversations like this, you can find us at lucidshiftcoaching.com and also on Instagram at lucid_shift_coaching. We currently have an offering where you can show up and get a little bit of coaching if you want for free. It's an offering where, look, I want there to be more people in the world doing this, building and feeling freedom. Like for me, freedom and impact are the big things that I think the entrepreneurs that I'm in alignment with are wanting in the world. And so I'm not like Gary Vee. I'm not the one who wants to like hustle and grind. And I don't. That's not. There's anything wrong with that, but that's just not my thing. So what we're doing with the Breakthrough Bar, which is on Fridays at 1 p.m. Pacific time, goes to 2:30, is we have some coaching. We have some conversation. People show up. A few people will sit in the spotlight and do some actual real coaching. The people that are in the spotlight are going to get benefit from it, obviously, because they're going to get coaching, high ticket coaching that they might not otherwise have access to. But then the people who are in the audience are also going to get benefit from it because they're listening and they're hearing either challenges that they're also experiencing right now, or sometimes seeing around the corner at challenges that might be coming down the road for someone else. So that's an offering that we're doing right now. It's called the Breakthrough Bar. It's Fridays from 1 to 2:30. We can get you the link to get on the email list so that you find out about it. We can, I guess, maybe put those in the show notes or whatever. But
Mhm.
the idea is show up to that, build some community, because really this who not how thing that I was talking about earlier, it's driven by connections. It's driven by understanding that you're going to be good at things and other people are going to be good at other things. And so we do that when we're in relationship with others. And relationship takes time and trust to there's now my relationship coaching coming out, but it's important but it's important to build these connections and spend time with each other. So we've created this container for it with the Breakthrough Bar. So feel free to join us on that. Check us out on Instagram, check us out on the web, and otherwise it's been great talking to you.
Oh, amazing. Yes, we're going to definitely put the show notes. You will have the link to the breakout bar, correct?
Breakthrough Bar, yeah.
Breakthrough bar, sorry. Yeah,
Enlightenment on tap.
enlightenment on tap in the
Yeah.
show notes down below so that you can join. You can definitely, I'm probably going to be jumping in every once in a while. Why not be part of the community, grow that community? Because hey, That's the best way to grow, with people who are either in the same spot you are or further along with you. Ben, I want to thank you so much for being a guest here. I had so much fun chatting with you and learning about your journey as a digital entrepreneur.
Dude, it was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Everybody who's listening, remember, check out the show notes to support the business entrepreneur that you guys connect with. And especially Ben, if you want to take your thinking to the next level and open yourself up and learn. I am Phil Better, the podcast mogul. This is Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I thank you so much for watching, and remember to invest in yourself. Hey, everybody, I want to thank you so much for watching the show and listening to the podcast. As a thank you, remember, you can always head over to my website, philbetterinc.com, and get free 15 minutes with me to talk about how you can grow your podcast, how to monetize your podcast, or even how to start your podcast. I have helped lots of people, and I want to help you do the same for your business or just for your personal brand. So again, that is philbetterinc.com. Head over there, book your free 15 minutes, and it'll be a pleasure to help you out. Have a good night, and remember to invest in yourself.